Call me by your name. On second thought, don't. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Athena Beauty. I'm a drag performer and YouTuber. Today we are discussing one of the most polarizing films of the past decade or so, Call Me by Your Name. Call Me by Your Name was released in 2017 to film festivals, mass audiences, and it was very popular. It was very successful. It was talked about a lot. People loved the performances of Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer and the romance between Elio and Oliver. Over the years, it's become a lot more polarizing, especially in terms of certain events that have happened in the actors' lives and just the general relationship between the two main characters. So I thought we'd explore that a little more in depth and dive into the story. Let's talk about the film first. The story is set in 1983. We have Timothée Chalamet, who plays Elio, who is a young 17-year-old boy living in Italy with his parents. His dad is a professor, and this summer he's taking aboard a student for his research who's named Oliver. Now, Oliver is 24, so he's pretty mature. As soon as they first meet, you can tell there's a sort of attraction between both characters. Oliver is kind of subtly flirting with Elio, and Elio is not exactly turning down these flirtations. During one of the opening scenes, Oliver is playing volleyball and he starts to massage Elio's shoulders. It starts to become clear that Elio is attracted to Oliver when he watches him dance with a girl at a party, and then Elio dives in with his female lover at the time right next to Oliver, almost as if to make him jealous. And this is where the amazing soundtrack starts to come into play. Most of the music in this film was done by Sufjan Stevens, who is incredible, and I listened to all of these songs on this album constantly. Before I even watched the film, this was one of the soundtracks I listened to the most because of Sufjan Stevens. The soundtrack slaps during this scene as well. Love My Way by the Psychedelic Furs is playing, and I highly recommend you go watch that. Here's a little snippet of it for those of you who don't know. So Elio accompanies Oliver and Elio's father on a research trip, and they excavate an old statue, specifically the arm of a statue. There's a cute moment where Elio shakes Oliver's hand, which happens to be the statue's hand, for fully like a minute. I thought it was like an old corpse that they dug up, and I was like, ew, why are you touching that? That's gross. So that made it a little less cute for me. Elio finds Oliver's underwear, fully puts it over his head, and then like gets into like bottoming position. That's the other thing. Elio in this film is a power bottom. Also, Elio is a reader and he's an intellectual. He's not like the other boys. So that's why he's so drawn to Oliver, because he's also a reader and a thinker and an intellectual, and you just wouldn't understand them. They're hanging out one day, they're riding their bikes around the countryside, and Elio is revealing his feelings to Oliver, and Oliver says, "You're making things very difficult for me." And then Oliver and Elio kiss. I'll insert a little steamy compilation here of that. This is very attractive. And Oliver is saying like, we can't do this, whatever. And then Elio just reaches over and puts his hand on his crotch. And then Oliver follows suit and makes a little sandwich, an Elio sandwich, if you will. There's like a scene where the family is having dinner and arguing, and it really gave me like the essence of Italy. Like it really made me want to rewatch White Lotus season 2. And Elio's waiting for Oliver to return one day. Feudal Devices by Sufjan Stevens starts playing, and oh my god. Every single time one of the amazing songs on the soundtrack comes up, I'm gonna tell you to go and listen to the soundtrack, because you need to. Oliver pees with the door open. For some reason, this causes Elio to go make out and have sex with his lover, Marzia. And he's an intellectual boy, so he lasts 5 seconds with her and apologizes profusely. Eventually, Elio and Oliver connect in the bedroom. Despite what's going on with the age stuff, I actually think it's a really sweet scene and still really well done, especially the "Call Me by Your Name" bit.
Call me by your name and I'll call you by mine. Elio.
They're at breakfast the next morning, and it's clear that the mom knows some shit. The parents know what's going on, it's clear. Elio takes a peach. This is the infamous peach scene which most of us know even if we haven't watched the movie. He takes a peach, he cuts out the pit, and he pleasures himself, and he finishes inside the peach, which also lasts 5 seconds. This scene inspired boys everywhere to imagine better possibilities for their solo time and where they can put things. Earlier in the film, Marcia and Elio are talking about reading and how readers seem to hide things about themselves, and Elio gets her to open up even though she's scared of being intimate with someone. So it hurts a lot when Marcia visits Elio and realizes he seems to be interested in other people. She doesn't know that it's Oliver, but she can tell that he is devoting his time to someone else. Before Oliver leaves, he wants to go on a solo trip with Elio. They go off to Rome together and have their own little solo adventure. During this, The Mystery of Love by Suf John Stevens starts playing, and when I tell you this is the best nature walking song I have ever heard, and it is so emotional and so beautiful, and oh my god, I'm getting like tears just thinking about it. On their night out in Rome, Elio watches Oliver dance and flirt with this stranger on the street, and he realizes this is never going to be a long-term thing. The next morning, they say goodbye with no words as Oliver boards the train and departs. Elio returns to his little town in Italy. Marcia forgives him for what he did earlier. Elio sits down with his father and they have a little heart-to-heart where the father reveals that he knew about Elio and Oliver. Elio's hurting, and so the father tells him to not fight the pain and just let it happen, because he gets rid of the pain, he gets rid of the joy.
I may have come close, but I never had what you two have. Right now, there's sorrow, pain. Don't kill it. And with it, the joy you felt.
So the film ends, it's winter time now. Oliver calls and he tells Elio that he's getting married in the spring. While Elio fights his feelings, Oliver tells Elio how lucky he is to have such an amazing and supportive family. Elio says his own name into the receiver and Oliver responds with his own name.
Elio.
It's such a really sweet moment. It's like a farewell for these two lovers who have gone through a whole amazing summer together. The film ends with a shot of Elio going through all his emotions and experiences in his head. He's feeling it all. The love, the joy, the sorrow, the pain. It's all there. And it's beautiful to look at. So that's the plot of Call Me By Your Name. A really beautiful love story at the time that had only positive acclaim, but over the years it's gotten kind of problematic. A few years after the film premiered, Armie Hammer was convicted of sexual assault allegations as well as threats of cannibalism against him. But it was really disturbing and it really tainted the whole relationship within the film. On top of that, the age gap was a little weird. Elio in the film is 17 and Oliver is 24. I am a 21-year-old and I would never even think about dating a 17-year-old. I get that they're in a romantic countryside and there are not many people around, but these relationships just can't be happening. I'm not even out of college and I would not date Elio because he's not even out of high school. Crazy. Finally, there were also some scenes from the book that did not make it into the final film, because if you thought the peach scene was a little too much, you should look up the poop scene. Elio and Oliver are on their trip in Rome together and Oliver poops in the toilet and then Elio goes to look at it because he wants to see all of him. And then Elio sits down in the toilet and shits in the toilet so that Oliver can see his own poop. And while he is pooping, Oliver comes over and starts rubbing his stomach to like get the shit out. So that's really disturbing. I get that the author was supposed to be going for like an intimate moment and seeing like all of the other person, but that's really weird. No one in the history of the world has rubbed their partner's shit out as a romantic gesture. There are some really weird things about the film that have tainted it since it premiered. It really puts things into perspective. It's weird to rewatch the film knowing all the things that we know about Armie and about the book and like the age gap. It's supposed to be a heartfelt queer romance, but it missed the mark over the years. It's interesting how much times have changed because the age thing has always been there and yet no one's really seemed to call it out since like 2021 or 2022. Anyways, that's the uncomplicated history of Call Me By Your Name. I hope you've enjoyed this little analysis that we've gone through. I would love to do more of these, maybe a Brokeback Mountain or some other film. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want more of this content. I hope you all have a good rest of your week, and I'll see you very soon. Bye.